You know the 70s, ABBA, the Bee Gees, Elton, right? Not today. These are the hidden gems, the hooks you missed, the songs that built the sound but never owned the headlines. If you recognize 7 or more, you're elite. If not, welcome to your new favorite playlist. Stay to the end for the greatest number 1 that never was, and tell us your score in the comments. Let's start at number 15.
I really only met about a week ago, but
Andrew Gold was the rare Los Angeles studio ace who could write a perfect pop song in his head and then execute nearly all the parts with relaxed precision. Before 1978, he'd already been a secret weapon in Linda Ronstadt's band and on her records, honing an arranger's ear for economy. Verses that breathe, bridges that actually bridge, choruses that bloom without swelling into syrup.
it would really make me happy to never let her slip.
You hear all of that in Never Let Her Slip Away. The lyric is simple and direct, love spoken plainly, without ornament, because the lift is carried by melody and harmony, not grand gestures.
Feel like the lead in Romeo and Juliet.
The backing vocals arrive like a soft tide. The saxophone line glides rather than grandstands, and the rhythm section keeps the whole thing floating a few inches off the ground. Gold famously wrote the song in a burst of real-life infatuation, and you can feel that late-night, big-city glow in the phrasing.
Yeah, I'm a little bit dizzy, I'm a little bit.
What's fascinating is how the record achieves its ache without any melodrama. The arrangement lets air do the work. Open chords, space around the lead vocal, a chorus that rises by half steps rather than leaps. In the US, the single landed modestly. In the UK, it connected immediately and became a staple of late 70s radio.
Cover, 'cause she's good for me.
That split says less about the song than about the different climates on either side of the Atlantic. American pop in 1978 was crowded with disco titans and power ballads. British programmers still made room for subtly sophisticated songwriting. Time has been kind. The tune returned to the UK charts via a dance cover years later, quietly reaffirming the original's bulletproof bones.
I love her, I'm hoping that I'll never recover.
If you're mapping 70s pop beyond the obvious blockbusters, Never Let Her Slip Away sits at a crucial intersection. LA craftsmanship meeting British radio's ear for melody. It's proof that restraint, when perfectly voiced, can be as addictive as bombast.
Hey, Rocklore community. Before we continue, let's have a real talk for a second, bro. You know, this isn't just a channel to us. And I hope it's not just a place you come to watch a video and then forget about it. This is a community. It's a place where we get to dig up the secrets of rock and roll, share our favorite riffs, and celebrate the artists who maybe didn't get the love they deserved. Right now, only about 1% of our viewers are subscribed. We can change that together and grow this community. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button with the notification bell on. When you do, you're not just helping a channel grow, you're becoming a member of the Rocklore family. You're signaling to us and to YouTube that these stories matter, that this music is worth preserving, and that this community is a place you want to be. Subscribing is your way of making sure you're always in the loop. It means you'll be the first to know when we unearth a forgotten legend, drop a new countdown, or dive into a piece of rock history you've never heard before. So if you're a true fan of the lore, if you get that same feeling of discovery that I do, then come join us. It takes 1 second to be a part of something bigger.
Pub rock goes power pop, gets said often. The motors sound like that transition flipping on the runway lights. Formed by Ducks Deluxe alumni Nick Garvey and Andy McMaster, the band recruited Bram Tchaikovsky on guitar and, crucially, cut their debut single with a then-rising studio perfectionist, Robert John Mutt Lang.
Just when you're ready to die, they turn their back on you.
The album version stretches past 6 minutes, a deliberate slow build that shows how arrangement, not just attitude, makes a bar band feel like an arena band. Guitars are stacked for rhythm as much as harmony. The drums punch in clean, even strokes, and the chorus lands with bright metal inevitability.
Turn on the smile, 'cause your thing is the big time, the cautious support and the stop.
As a 7-inch, Edit slimmed it down without losing the feeling of liftoff. Britain took to it. Elsewhere, it remained a connoisseur's pick, one of those records musicians talk about when they talk about sound. Its shadow life is telling too. A few years later, Cheap Trick issued a cover as a lead single, a nod to the original's undeniable engine, even if their version didn't become the hit the label hoped for.
Well, they wish you would back up and go. They don't even learn to.
Listen back to back and you can hear why the first cut endures. It's not just the hook, it's the tension curve, how the verses tighten the coil and the chorus releases it. Dancing the Night Away is a Hinge record. You can hear pub rock's pub, tight rhythm guitars, economy, grit, and you can hear the next era's polish forming in real time. If power pop is the art of making adrenaline shimmer, the Motors got there early. Tulsa doesn't usually headline 70s pop histories, and that's a mistake. The Dwight Twilley Band, Dwight Twilley and Phil Seymour, tracked I'm on Fire at the church studio under the Shelter Records banner, soaking up a local lineage that ran through Leon Russell while bottling something distinctly modern. The record is a miracle of compression, rockabilly echo in the guitars, Beatlesque glow in the harmonies, and a chorus that arrives, smacks, and leaves before you've had a chance to overthink it. The single burned up radio through the summer of '75 and became one of those stealth standards young bands still learn by ear. Label turbulence slowed the album rollout, but the song didn't need context to land. It is the context. You can draw a straight line from I'm on Fire to the broader American power pop wave that would wash up later in the decade. Bright guitars with no excess weight, drums that push without bluster, a vocal that sells urgency without shouting. There's also a community story here. Shelter housed Tom Petty around the same time, and the artists' overlapping sessions created a small Tulsa to Coast conversation in sound. I'm on Fire is the calling card from that world. 2.5 minutes of aerodynamic joy, engineered for replay.
Drew me near to you. I never knew.
The Poppy Family were a beautifully odd Canadian proposition. Susan Jack's crystalline voice delivering songs by then-husband Terry Jacks, arranged with a soft focus palette that could turn sunshine into twilight. Where Evil Grows is their most unsettling triumph. A minor key lullaby whose melody charms while the lyric leans into the pull of darkness.
Who's in cracks and holes and lives in people's minds.
The percussion sounds close to the mic, like a small room at night. The bass line rocks gently as if to soothe a child, except what's being soothed is something you probably shouldn't trust. It was a real hit on both sides of the border, which matters because it proves this wasn't an eccentric one-off. It resonated immediately with listeners who recognized the trick. Take bubblegum, tint it noir, and don't wink. Over the decades, it kept resurfacing, on soundtracks, in playlists, because that contradiction never stops being effective. The arrangement does the heavy lifting, a voice that never raises itself, a melody that climbs by careful steps, a band that refuses to push too hard.
Could control the thing that you do, but I couldn't kill.
It's the don't show the monster principle of filmmaking applied to radio. If you're curating the softer, stranger corners of early 70s pop, Where Evil Grows is essential. It reminds you that the era's sweetness often came with shadows, and that the shadows could be the point. Put the tenor mystic from Yes together with a synthesizer auteur, and you might expect ornate prog on a sequencer grid. Instead, I Hear You Now is almost startlingly direct. Recorded largely at Vangelis's Nemo Studios in London, the duo's process favored quick takes and minimal overdubs, leaving a luminous electronic bed over which John Anderson sings like he's whispering a secret to himself.
And after all is said and done, there's only us, we can make it.
The melody is a simple cell repeated and reframed. The textures do the moving. Released at the turn of 1979 into 1980, it became a substantial UK hit and a calling card for the partnership. What makes it endure is the way it dissolves a false binary in late 70s pop. Human warmth versus machine cool.
Be free.
Anderson doesn't fight the synths. He inhabits them. The lyric reads like an inward revelation, spiritual but not grandiose, and the production refuses to clutter the moment with unnecessary spectacle.
Oh, just to get
The song also hints at early 80s futures. Vangelis's cinematic sense would shortly define mainstream perceptions of synthesizers, and Anderson's voice would remain a bridge between prog's imagination and pop's concision. I Hear You Now sits right at that crossroads, a quiet proof that restraint and technology can make something intimate.
날이 우쭐해봐. Stay with
In late 70s Japan, a new strain of cosmopolitan pop was taking shape. Slick studio bands, Americanized harmony, jazz chords draped over danceable grooves. Miki Matsubara's debut single is one of that movement's most indelible calling cards. The record opens like a city at midnight. Electric piano in glassy arpeggios, rhythm guitar flickers, a bass line that leans forward without rushing.
Stay with me. 굳히구세요.
When Matsubara enters, she doesn't just sing the top line, she steers the band. Phrases snap tight against the snare, then released into long, soaring vowels that make the chorus feel skyscraper high. Part of the magic is how the arrangement parcels out momentum. Verses are taut and conversational, almost clipped, as if she's confiding from the passenger seat of a taxi. Pre-chorus figures widen, more air in the chords, backing vocals slipping in like neon reflections off a windshield. Then the chorus lifts everything a shelf higher without resorting to bombast. The harmony brightens, horns answer phrases, and the bass moves with a dancer's certainty. It's a masterclass in giving a pop song the dramaturgy of a night drive across town. Lyrically, it's not plot-heavy. It doesn't need to be. The emotional geometry is in the shape of the melody, desire stretching forward, then snapping back to the hook. Stay with me, like a rubber band. That economy is why the song survives translation. You could miss every word and still understand the stakes from the way Matsubara leans into the final syllables of each line. The track's 21st Century Afterlife, millions discovering it through rabbit holes and social clips, wasn't a fluke. What listeners were hearing anew was the engineering of feeling, immaculate time, chords that glow rather than glare, a performance that sells romance without theatrical excess. It's the kind of single that makes you believe pop can be sleek, urbane, and devastating at once. Midnight Forever in 4 minutes.
Yesterday, wasted time. Money was kinda slow.
Credit to veterans of the easy beats, Harry Vanda and George Young, with inventing a pop persona that shouldn't work on paper but absolutely does. A laconic, talk-sung narrator floating above metronomic drums, rubbery bass, and synth stabs that feel both futuristic and faintly comic. Hey St. Peter plays like a short film, a man on a city street, thinking about sin and consequence, arguing with the heavens over a disco-era pulse.
I said, hey, Peter, I gotta tell you.
The conceit is cheeky, but the record never winks too hard. It treats the joke with such studio seriousness that it becomes something richer. Vanda and Young were studio maximalists with minimalist instincts. Rather than fill the spectrum, they draw a box and make everything bounce inside it. Hand claps are punctuations, the guitar is a rhythm instrument first, and the keyboard hooks are designed like signage, bold shapes you can read from a distance. The voice, more spoken than sung, sits dry and close, a storyteller at arm's length. When harmonies slide in on the refrain, the whole world suddenly feels a little bigger, like a crane shot pulling back to reveal the city around the character. Placed in the late 70s context, Hey St. Peter is a hinge between post-glam pop and the dawning new wave. Dance floor tempo, but with a writerly brain, a devotional title with secular mischief, a groove constructed as much from decisions as from chops. Its staggered international rollout meant different audiences discovered it at different cultural moments, but that only underlines the point. The song isn't chained to a micro scene. It's built on elemental pleasures, beat, hook, voice, and an idea audacious enough to stick. The lasting appeal lies in its tone, wry without cynicism, catchy without pandering, cinematic on a small budget. A conversation with the pearly gates, set to a beat you can't stop walking to.
Waste my time chasing sleep. People say
Here's the rare love song that's not about a person so much as a frequency. Pilot of the Airwaves is addressed to the midnight DJ, the voice that keeps you company when the city has gone quiet and the dishes are finally done. Dor sings it with a kind of measured warmth that never tips into sentimentality. She's grateful, a little amused at herself, and perfectly in time. The production, guided by Alan Tarney and Bruce Welch, leans on clarity. Crisp acoustic strums, unfussy drums, electric lines that chase the melody rather than compete with it, harmonies shaded like lamplight. What makes the record special isn't just the conceit, it's how closely the arrangement mirrors the feeling of late-night radio. Everything sits close to the ear.
you show on the radio, and you seem like a friend to me.
The groove rocks gently, as if it knows you're listening alone. Even the hook is conversational. Catchy, yes, but structured like a note scribbled on a request line rather than a stadium chant. You can hear why American radio, especially after dark, took to it immediately. It flatters the listener, and it flatters the medium. There's a novelist's eye in the lyric, little domestic details, a nod to the day's messes, and then the admission that a stranger's voice can make you feel less alone.
Late at night, I'm still listening.
In 1979, that was the lore of FM. In the streaming century, the sentiment tracks eerily well. Algorithms try to fake intimacy. This record understands the real thing. Someone, somewhere, picking the next song because they think you might need it.
Ooh, you make the nighttime race. Ooh, I don't need.
Dor would go on to a multifaceted career, but if this were all she'd left behind, it would still be enough. The single is a postscript to radio's golden age and a preface to the playlists we build to keep our own nights stitched together. Dear DJ, thanks for saving my night. This video is sponsored by The Lore Store on Amazon, your one-stop shop for music lovers across reggae, rock, pop, and hip-hop. We built it for real listeners who don't want to dig through 1,000 listings to find the right gear. Inside The Lore Store, you'll find 5 aisles. VIP, top, battle-tested essentials. Headphones, turntables, speakers, gig-safe earplugs, smart speakers. Reggae vibe, roots and lovers. Rock made easy, automatic decks, warm bookshelf speakers, vinyl care. Rock lore, classic rock must-haves, open back cans, simple amps, living room concert vibes. Pop lore, feel-good everyday setups, clean, clear speakers, easy streaming, nostalgia-friendly picks. Hip-hop must-haves, punchy bass without the muddle, closed-back headphones and living room systems that handle low-end, plus a rotating crate of old album vinyl if you're rebuilding a 60s-90s collection. Every product page tells you who it's for, 3 pros, 1 con, and why we picked it. So you can choose with confidence. Flying soon? Check. VIP for noise canceling that tames plane roar. Mostly listening at home? Try open-back headphones that let live albums breathe. Want instant gratification vinyl? Our fully automatic turntable is 1 button from silence to music, and the record cleaning kit knocks down crackle so the bass tightens up. Headed to shows? Grab high-fidelity earplugs, hands-free at home. Our smart speaker picks let you say, play 70s reggae or classic pop, and you're there. Deal alert! If you use the link in the description, you'll land on our curated picks with current best available Amazon pricing and active discounts where applicable. Prices change, so buy now to lock in today's deal. Tap the link in the description, pick your aisle, grab a favorite, and tell me which category you want me to build next. The Lore Store. Listen better, with gear that gets out of the way and lets the music live. On something, anything? Todd Rundgren does the pop equivalent of building a ship in a bottle. He writes it, plays it, sings it, stacks the harmonies, and somehow leaves fingerprints nowhere. Couldn't I Just Tell You is the jolt on side 3, a compact argument for what power pop could be before the term was settled. Guitars bright enough to cut glass, drums that think in downstrokes, melody lines that climb like a hand on a rung. If the song's reputation has snowballed over the decades, it's because musicians recognize the engineering. Verses move fast but never feel rushed. The pre-chorus flips the pressure valve, and the chorus doesn't explode so much as it arrives, perfectly centered. Rundgren's guitar solo is the tell. Lyrical, unhurried, a melody inside the melody rather than a virtuoso detour. Even the backing vocals are architectural, placed to widen the room at the exact moment the lyric asks for more space. Lyrically, the song is disarmingly adult, not the drama of infatuation, but the logistics of honesty. Couldn't I Just Tell You the Way I Feel isn't a grand confessional. It's a plea for clarity in a relationship that's starting to calcify. That groundedness gives the music its buoyancy. He's not raging against a wall. He's pushing a heavy door open with a smile. Plenty of bands would take this blueprint and make careers from it. Stacked jangle, propulsive drums, 3-minute architecture with no sag. Rundgren, infamously restless, kept moving. But this track remains the Rosetta Stone, a songwriter-producer proving that pristine craft can feel like daylight on the skin, not just polish on the surface. Before Blondie supercharged it for the world, Hanging on the Telephone lived on a 4-song EP by a Los Angeles trio who believed pop could be carved down to the nerve. The Nerves, Jack Lee, Paul Collins, Peter Case, had no time for frills. Their guitars are short, bright slashes. The drums hit like a message tapped out. The vocal arrives with the urgency of a call you must answer. 2 minutes later, it's over, and you're hitting replay because your pulse hasn't caught up. Jack Lee's writing here is a marvel of compression. He gives you a complete emotional arc, anticipation, jealousy, plea, without a wasted bar. The melody outlines the anxiety in quick, rising figures. The harmony stays narrow, increasing the claustrophobia. The bridge loosens just enough to feel like a breath before the hook clamps down again. Where many DIY records of the era wore their limitations on their sleeve, this one turns constraint into design. The budget becomes the aesthetic. The song's second life is now a matter of pop history. A bigger band with a razor-sharp producer takes a perfect 2-minute sketch and paints it in high gloss for international radio. But the original doesn't vanish in that glow. It thrives beside it. You can hear the seed, the insistence, the architecture, the nervy romanticism, and understand why later scenes in Los Angeles, from power pop to punk-adjacent jangle, kept pointing back to this little record as a beginning. In the end, Hanging on the Telephone is about contact, missed, made, begged for, and the way desire turns modern technology into an instrument of both torture and hope. Pick up, someone's on the line. By 1979, British power pop had a new standard bearer with a mouthful of a name. After splitting from the Motors, Bram Tchaikovsky reappeared fronting a lean trio and carrying a song built like a radio magnet. Girl of My Dreams arrives fast and clean. Clipped downstrokes, a bass that dances instead of drags, drums that punch in even eighths, and a vocal that lands right on the downbeat. The chorus doesn't so much soar as lock in. You feel it snap into place before you've learned the words. What makes the record endure is the balance between brute momentum and small, careful decisions. The verses are tight. The pre-chorus breathes just enough to widen the room, and the bridge changes the angle of attack without deflating the tireless drive. You can hum it after one pass because the melody sits in that sweet middle register where consonants bite and vowels bloom. It's also a reminder that power pop isn't just about sugar, it's about structure. Every bar pulls you toward the hook, and nothing wastes your time getting there. Girl of My Dreams was one of the few late 70s UK power pop singles to truly cut through in the States, a testament to how universal the song feels once the chorus hits. Decades later, it still anchors playlists because it solves the eternal problem with ruthless elegance. How do you make 3 chords feel brand new? You play them like you mean them, and you design the runway so the chorus lifts every time. Few singles wear the turn-of-the-decade UK pop uniform, as well as Back of My Hand. The Jags deliver a phone line kiss-off with razor hooks, a vocal wink, and guitars that tick like a typewriter. It's sharp, sulky, and addictively singable. The secret weapon is the production history. Multiple versions circulated, an initial single cut, a remix by Trevor Horn and Jeff Downes that polished the edges for radio, and a re-recorded album iteration.
But in the morning she was just kicking sad. I hope I'm getting through the
Same skeleton, different sheens. Hearing them side by side is a miniature masterclass in how arrangement and mix choices steer a hook. Under the attitude lives immaculate engineering. The snare is dry and forward. Rhythm guitars are interlocked for rhythm as much as harmony. The melody stays in a tight range so the chorus can burst open without resorting to a key change.
I know just what you are. Don't push your look.
Lyrically, it's all sidelong glances and tarred asides, but the performance never curdles. It teases. That tonal control is why the record hasn't dulled with time. It's new wave in wardrobe, power pop at heart. The song remains a touchstone for producers and fans who love to argue the superiority of one mix over another. Strip away the lore and you're left with what matters. A perfect, compact pop machine built to dial the heart and hang up before you can overthink it. The Flamin' Groovy's mid-70s reinvention is one of rock's great pivots. Once a San Francisco band with Stones-ish bite and proto-punk snap, they re-emerged as evangelists of British invasion chime. Shake Some Action, the title track of their 1976 album, is the thesis. Co-written by Cyril Jordan and Chris Wilson, and produced by Dave Edmunds at Rockfield Studios, it sounds like 1966 rebuilt with 1976 headroom. 12-string shimmer braided to a rhythm section that refuses both drag and haste. Patience is the production's quiet miracle. No fireworks, no sprint to the chorus. The guitars breathe and crosstalk. The drums smile rather than stomp. And when the hook arrives, it doesn't explode. It blooms. Edmunds polishes without erasing fingerprints, preserving the human rattle inside the sparkle. Out of step with mainstream US radio, the track nevertheless turned into a musician's password, passed hand to hand, cited in interviews, rediscovered with each reissue. This isn't a chart story so much as a grammar story. Shake Some Action codified a language, melody first, chime over crunch, restraint over grandstanding, that would echo through jangle pop, college rock, and countless guitar bands chasing the feeling of a clear blue chorus. Starry Eyes is euphoria born from exasperation. John Wicks and Will Birch supposedly wrote it not about a romance, but a busted business relationship, which explains the song's unusual cool. It's a kiss-off sung with composure and a smile. Chiming Rickenbackers set the glittering frame, the rhythm section glides, the harmonies drop in like high clouds. The melody moves in tight, satisfying cells so the chorus can open like a window. Production lore adds another layer. Early sessions with Robert John "Mutt" Lang gave the track those disciplined backing vocals and clockwork rhythm guitars. Tim Freeze Green later shepherded the album home, and different territories even issued different versions. That shuffle only sharpened the song's edges. Whichever cut you hear, the basic architecture never wavers. Verse, pre-chorus, chorus, middle eight. Each section earns its keep and sets up the next.
radio, starry-eyed man, be on your way.
On the highway is where Starry Eyes reveals its true size. It's freeway pop, music that grows larger the faster the dashed white lines blur. It also became a working definition of power pop for bands that followed. Bright guitars, airtight form, emotions rendered in sunlight rather than storm clouds. A grievance transformed into radiance.
Hey, Rocklore community. Before we continue, let's have a real talk for a second, bro. You know, this isn't just a channel to us. And I hope it's not just a place you come to watch a video and then forget about it. This is a community. It's a place where we get to dig up the secrets of rock and roll, share our favorite riffs, and celebrate the artists who maybe didn't get the love they deserved. Right now, only about 1% of our viewers are subscribed. We can change that together and grow this community. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button with the notification bell on. When you do, you're not just helping a channel grow, you're becoming a member of the Rocklore family. You're signaling to us and to YouTube that these stories matter, that this music is worth preserving, and that this community is a place you want to be. Subscribing is your way of making sure you're always in the loop. It means you'll be the first to know when we unearth a forgotten legend, drop a new countdown, or dive into a piece of rock history you've never heard before. So if you're a true fan of the lore, if you get that same feeling of discovery that I do, then come join us. It takes 1 second to be a part of something bigger.
September girls, I don't know why. How can I?
Some songs become hits, some become scripture. September Girls is the latter. 2.5 minutes in which Alex Chilton and Big Star catch the precise angle where longing turns to light. Tracked at Memphis's Ardent Studios with John Fry at the console for Radio City, it's startlingly lean. Crisp drums, chiming rhythm guitars, a few judicious lead figures, bass lines that nudge rather than announce.
December boys got it bad.
There's no production trickery to hide behind. The melody carries the entire emotional argument, and it wins. Part of the magic is how the song speaks without spectacle. The intro hooks almost by accident. The verses feel like a conversation set to music. The chorus sounds as if it has always existed, discovered rather than invented. Fry's minimalist approach gives the parts air and angle. Nothing crowds anything else. You hear wood, wire, and skin. That clarity lets Chilton's vocal do the heavy lifting. Half wistful, half wired, always human. History complicated the record's path. Distribution chaos kept the album scarce, just as it should have been finding fans, and the single never landed on the charts. Instead, it traveled as myth, mixtapes, secondhand praise, a luminous cover that nudged it toward daylight a decade later. Musicians learned it by heart and, in doing so, taught it forward. The grammar of jangle, the discipline of arrangement, the belief that pop can tell difficult truths without raising its voice.
Boys got it bad.
If power pop is the art of compressing longing into sparkle, September Girls is the reference recording. It ends and you feel larger, not smaller, and you press play again. The journey doesn't end here, pop lovers. Watch this next. Think you know 60s and 70s pop? Prove it. Beneath the hits is a secret map. Sunshine Pop Labs, tape-spliced psychedelia, early synth duos, and power pop blueprints the charts forgot. If names like the Millennium, Sagittarius, the Free Design, the United States of America, the nerves don't ring a bell, you're hearing echoes without meeting the source. Tonight, 15 obscure bands you need to hear. One definitive track each and exactly what to listen for. Key changes that feel like liftoff, harmony stacks that glow, mellotron haze, sine wave pulses, and fuzz that still sounds dangerous. From glass delicate family harmonies to a guitarless psych circus, from a freak beat fuzz grenade to the original hanging on the telephone, this is the pop family tree they never taught. This is Pop Lore. Subscribe, tap the bell, and drop one sleeper band, plus one must-hear track for part 2. Headphones on, let's open the vault. 5 American soldiers stationed in Germany form a band, shave their heads, wear black, and plug in an electric banjo. That's the Monks. They didn't try to be pretty. They tried to be loud, simple, and shocking. I Hate You is their mission statement. A chant you can yell, a beat that stomps, and guitars that sound like a warning siren. Why it matters. Most mid-60s bands aimed for smooth harmonies. The Monks went the other way. They stripped songs down to a few parts and hit them hard. Years later, punk bands would use the same idea. Less polish, more punch. The Monks did it first. What to listen for? Drums like marching boots. 1 or 2 chords repeated until it becomes a trance. The electric banjo adding a sharp metallic edge. A vocal that sounds more like a crowd chant than a ballad. Takeaway. If you love punk energy but want to hear its roots, start here. This is the sound of a door opening to the future.
Hey, Pop Lore family. Did you know only 1% of viewers are subscribed? If you love deep dives into pop legends, forgotten gems, and the stories behind the songs that shaped generations, hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to turn on LL notifications so you'll be the first to know when we premiere our next video. It's free, it helps Pop Lore grow, and it makes sure you never miss a single countdown or music story. Let's build this community together.
Squirrels that fly far from the dance of time, and find my way to slow oscillation.
2 people, 1 drum kit, a homemade tower of oscillators, early synth gear, built from spare parts. That's Silver Apples. Oscillations is the spark. The drummer locks into a steady motor-like pulse, while the singer rides smooth bending tones that seem to float over the beat. Why it matters. Rock was still guitar heavy in '68. Silver Apples moved the center of the song to electronics and rhythm. They showed that a pop tune could be hypnotic and machine-like while still feeling human. You can draw a line from this track to krautrock, synth pop, electronic indie, and even modern bedroom producers. What to listen for? A tight, simple drum pattern that never gets busy. Sine wave melodies, pure tones, gliding like a theremin. Almost no chords, just a groove that locks you in. A calm vocal that gives the wild sounds a human core. Takeaway. If you've ever danced to a minimal electronic song, Oscillations is a grandparent of that feeling. Imagine a rock band with no guitars. Add early synthesizers, tape loops, and bold orchestral touches. Put a clear, haunting voice in front. That's the United States of America. The opening of The American Metaphysical Circus throws you into a circus gone strange. Calliope sounds, layered noise, then a song that blooms into something beautiful and eerie. Why it matters. This group treated the studio like an instrument. Instead of just playing a song, they designed a sound world. That idea would shape art rock, experimental pop, and film score style arrangements in rock music for decades. They proved a pop song could also be a small movie. What to listen for? Collage intros, old-time carnival tones dissolving into modern textures. Bass and drums acting like anchors while electronics swirl around them. A vocal that stays steady so the wild arrangement won't lose you. Sudden shifts that feel like scene changes. Takeaway. When people say studio magic, this is one of the early pure examples. Storytelling done with sound, not just lyrics.
'Cause I'm the one made to see.
The action started as a sharp London mod soul band. They had great taste, strong voices, and help from top people in the studio. But the songs that truly show their power are the rolled gold demos, like Brain. Here they move toward psychedelic pop, chiming guitars, rich harmonies, and chord changes that lift you without showing off. Why it matters. The action never scored a big hit, but they had the tools. Tight playing, beautiful singing, and songwriting that balances soul feel with psych color. Many later British indie bands sound like they learned from these tapes. Light on the surface, depth underneath. What to listen for. 12-string sparkle that brightens every bar. Vocal stacks that rise only when the lyric needs help. Chords that step sideways in the verses, then resolve sweetly in the chorus. A rhythm section that keeps the song moving without pushing too hard. Takeaway. If you like the Byrds' shimmer or early Britpop jangle, Brain is a hidden bridge between those worlds. A band from Riverside, California gets championed by a young DJ in London. They move across the ocean, start to take off, then real life hits. Members face the draft. Plans fall apart. What remains is a handful of blazing recordings. I Can Take You to the Sun sounds like a rocket launch in slow motion. Raga-style bends, fierce feedback, and a melody that keeps rising. Why it matters. This song catches a moment where American garage grit meets British psychedelia. You can hear the birth of heavier, more intense guitar music, but it's still a song, not just noise. The band's short life adds to the legend, like a spark that flashes bright and disappears.
With half a mind you laugh at me.
What to listen for. A guitar tone that howls but still sings. Eastern-influenced bends that stretch the melody. Drums that punch accents instead of crowding the space. A vocal line that climbs and climbs, matching the guitar's heat. Takeaway. If you're curious how 60s pop turned into late 60s psych and then into early hard rock, this is a clear step on that path. A studio super project led by producer-writer Kurt Betcher. The goal, make Sunshine Pop as rich and detailed as a movie soundtrack. Why it matters. In 1968, most records were still tracked on simple setups. This team used advanced studio gear for the time and stacked harmonies with care. They treated clarity as an instrument. Many modern indie pop groups copy this clean, dreamy style without even knowing it. What to listen for. Stacked voices that rise and fall like a choir, but still feel intimate. Soft percussion, shakers, gentle drums, that supports without crowding. Key changes, modulations, that lift the chorus without getting loud. Bass that sings simple lines, tying the harmonies together. Takeaway. This is proof that a pop song can feel huge without big volume, just smart layers and perfect balance. A studio group from producer Gary Usher with help from Kurt Bocher. Same West Coast circle as the Millennium, but darker and more dramatic. Why it matters. The single version famously dropped a short sound collage in the middle. Radio-friendly pop meets bold experiment. The album version smooths it out, but both show the same idea. You can mix glossy melody with surprise and keep listeners hooked. What to listen for. Baroque touches, strings, careful chord movement that feel classy, not heavy. A chorus that blooms, longer notes, wider harmonies, deeper emotion. In the single mix, that brief left turn section that makes the last chorus hit harder. Takeaway. This is dramatic pop that never loses its polish. A bridge from 60s radio to future art pop. Three siblings with golden harmonies, released on a label known for hi-fi sound. On the surface, light and airy. Under the hood, serious arranging. Why it matters. They prove that soft, does not mean simple. The chords move in clever ways, the parts fit like puzzle pieces, and the mix is crystal clear. You hear this DNA in later indie and chamber pop. What to listen for? Close-voiced harmonies, notes packed tight that feel like sunlight, clean acoustic guitar and soft brass that color the edges, a bass part that walks just enough to keep the song moving, a chorus that opens the windows, same volume, more space. Takeaway: if you love melody and precision, this is ear candy with craft. This video is sponsored by the Lore Store on Amazon, your one-stop shop for music lovers across reggae, rock, pop, and hip-hop. We built it for real listeners who don't want to dig through 1,000 listings to find the right gear. Inside the Lore Store, you'll find 5 aisles. VIP, top, battle-tested essentials. Headphones, turntables, speakers, gig-safe earplugs, smart speakers. Reggae vibe, roots and lovers. Rock made easy, automatic decks, warm bookshelf speakers, vinyl care. Rock lore, classic rock must-haves. Open back cans, simple amps, living room concert vibes. Pop lore, feel-good everyday setups, clean, clear speakers, easy streaming, nostalgia-friendly picks. Hip-hop must-haves, punchy bass without the muddle, closed-back headphones and living room systems that handle low-end, plus a rotating crate of old album vinyl if you're rebuilding a 60s-90s collection. Every product page tells you who it's for, 3 pros, 1 con, and why we picked it. So you can choose with confidence. Flying soon? Check. VIP for noise canceling that tames plane roar. Mostly listening at home? Try open back headphones that let live albums breathe. Want instant gratification vinyl? Our fully automatic turntable is 1 button from silence to music, and the record cleaning kit knocks down crackle so the bass tightens up. Headed to shows? Grab high-fidelity earplugs. Hands-free at home? Our smart speaker picks let you say, play 70s reggae or classic pop, and you're there. Deal alert! If you use the link in the description, you'll land on our curated picks with current best available Amazon pricing and active discounts where applicable. Prices change, so buy now to lock in today's deal. Tap the link in the description, pick your aisle, grab a favorite, and tell me which category you want me to build next. The Lore Store. Listen better, with gear that gets out of the way and lets the music live.
What happened to her childhood dreams?
A Los Angeles cult band that looks sweet but often hit a strange, uneasy mood underneath. Why It Matters. They balanced pretty and unsettling in the same track, something many psychedelic groups tried, but few nailed. It hints at the darker turn rock would take at the end of the 60s. What to listen for? Velvet soft vocals floating over a steady beat. Low drones and fuzz guitar creeping in the background like a shadow. Lyrics that sound dreamy at first, then feel slightly off, by design. A final section that holds the groove long enough to pull you under. Takeaway: this is the smile on the surface, storm underneath, school of psych. Beautiful, and a little dangerous. A British band telling a cinematic story inside a pop single. Think short film in 3 minutes. Why It Matters. They use storytelling, 12-string sparkle, and early keyboard textures, like Mellotron, to paint pictures in your head. It points towards 70s art pop and even film score style rock. What to listen for? Narrative lyrics you can follow like scenes in a movie. "12-string guitar ringing like light through glass. Mellotron keyboard haze that makes the air around the song feel thicker. A chorus that lifts without shouting. Longer notes, wider chords. Takeaway: proof that a pop single can carry images and mood as strongly as any long prog track, just with sharper writing. A London band on producer Giorgio Gomelski's label tries to make a perfect psychedelic pop record. Sweet on the surface, wild underneath. Why It Matters. Blossom Toes showed how late 60s pop could be cute and dangerous at the same time. The song sounds like a sunny day, but the arrangement keeps changing. Surprise breaks, sharp guitar, little rhythmic tricks. It's the bridge between cheerful psych and the heavier Stranger rock that came right after. What to listen for? Chiming guitars that suddenly turn fuzzy and sharp. Stop-start rhythms that keep you on your toes. Stacked vocals that rise like a smile, then twist. Short instrumental bursts. Horns or guitar that feel like cartoon jump cuts. Takeaway: this is how you hide edge inside candy. If you like the Kinks' cleverness or early Traffic's color, this will click fast.
Oh, I feel fine. I feel fine.
A one-off UK single that hits like a small explosion. Huge fuzz guitar, hard drums, a chorus that grabs and doesn't let go.
If you don't wanna try this potion.
Why It Matters. Magic Potion is freak beat at full power. It shows how British psych shed its frills and moved toward raw, riff-driven rock. You can hear the start of the next decade's heavier sound in this 2.5-minute blast. What to listen for? Speaker-ripping fuzz. The guitar tone is the hook. Punchy drums with tight fills that push the chorus forward. Simple call-and-response vocals that hit like a chant. A clean break where the band drops out, then slams back in. Takeaway: when people say, "I want in the moment psych turned mean," play them this.
I will turn my resignation into you. Without sorrow, directions, magic potions for protection, leading my path.
Teenagers from St. Louis record an album at Abbey Road with the same gear the Beatles used. The label shelves it for decades. The music finally leaks out and turns into a cult favorite.
Being quite sincere.
Why It Matters. The Aerovons prove that craft can travel, even if the music business doesn't. World of You is careful and heartfelt, piano-led pop with strong melody, smart middle eights, and that warm studio glow. It's a lost page from the book of classic British pop.
I've been yearning that I've known. Never learning.
What to listen for? Piano and acoustic guitar working together, not fighting. A melodic bass line that supports the chords and sings its own tune. A middle section, middle eight, that changes key and mood, then lands you back in the chorus. Natural room sound. You feel like you're standing in the studio. Takeaway: if you love the songwriting side of the late 60s, melody first, ego second, this is the hidden door. Three brothers in Detroit build a fast, loud, focused sound years before punk becomes a brand. They cut a single, press a few copies, and vanish until the music is rediscovered decades later. Why It Matters. This is proto-punk with purpose. No cartoon attitude, just tight playing, direct words, and stamina. You can hear the shape of the late 70s punk explosion right here, but with its own heartbeat and message. What to listen for? Right-hand speed on guitar, downstrokes that feel like a motor, locked rhythm section, bass and drums move as one machine, a vocal that pushes the lyric forward, not just noise, smart stops and starts that make the final run hit harder. Takeaway: if you want to feel where punk energy really came from, basements, garages, truth, this is a must.
Hey, Pop Lore family. Did you know only 1% of viewers are subscribed? If you love deep dives into pop legends, forgotten gems, and the stories behind the songs that shaped generations, hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to turn on ALL notifications so you'll be the first to know when we premiere our next video. It's free, it helps pop lore grow, and it makes sure you never miss a single countdown or music story. Let's build this community together.
Three guys in Los Angeles write short, perfect power pop songs, press a tiny EP, and grind it out on the road. 2 years later, Blondie covers this song, and the world finally hears it, just not from the original band. Why it matters. The Nerves mastered economy. No extra parts, no wasted seconds. Verse, pre-chorus, chorus. Each section lands fast and clean. It's the blueprint for modern power pop, and a reminder that a great hook can live forever, even if the first version doesn't chart. What to listen for? That telephone ring guitar riff, instantly memorable. 2-minute form, tight verse, even tighter chorus, done. Harmony on the hook to make the words pop. Guitars set to bright, not thick, so the melody cuts through. Takeaway. This is the less is more masterclass. If you write songs, study this. If you just love songs, blast it. The journey doesn't end here, pop lovers. Watch this next. Imagine you press play on the 1970s and the whole decade starts to sing. Pianos glow in small rooms. Disco balls wake up over a crowded floor. A single voice at a microphone turns a diary page into a chorus the whole world knows. These songs didn't just top charts, they became part of our lives. We slow dance to them at weddings. We blast them in taxis at midnight. We hum them when the day goes wrong, and they somehow make it right. Tonight, 15 tracks prove why pop ruled the 70s. Singer-songwriters turned plain words into truth you can feel. Bands built hooks so strong you know them in 1 second. Producers pushed new sounds, clavs, strings, synths, until clubs and radios moved as one. Some of these records are pure joy. Some are heartbreak you can sing through. All of them stuck because they were honest, catchy, and beautifully made. Here's the game. Before we reveal each pick, try to name it from the first beat. Count how many you get right, argue your list in the comments, and find a new favorite along the way. Let's start at number 15.
If I was a sculptor.
The melody is so plain on paper that it feels like a diary entry set to piano. Elton's partner Bernie Taupin wrote the words at Elton's mother's kitchen table in 1969. A few months later, they cut it at Trident Studios in London with producer Gus Dudgeon and arranger Paul Buckmaster, whose gentle strings lift the chorus without smothering it.
This one's for you.
Before Elton's version came out, Three Dog Night slipped Your Song onto their album in early 1970. They didn't release it as a single so Elton could take his own shot later that year. Radio DJs flipped the 45 and started spinning Your Song instead of its intended A-side, and it became his first international top 10. It endures because the lyric reads like a note you'd pass across a table, and the performance never oversells the feeling. You hear a young artist telling you exactly who he is, without armor.
Hey, Pop Lore family! Did you know only 1% of viewers are subscribed? If you love deep dives into pop legends, forgotten gems, and the stories behind the songs that shaped generations, hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to turn on ALL notifications so you'll be the first to know when we premiere our next video. It's free, it helps pop lore grow, and it makes sure you never miss a single countdown or music story. Let's build this community together.
Can't fake it. Oh, no.
This is the quieter, cooler confession. Grown up and unhurried. On Tapestry, Carole King and lyricist Tony Stern turned a breakup into a conversation. Recorded at A&M Studios with producer Lou Adler, it lives on small details. The warm electric piano bed, Danny Korchmar's tasteful guitar, Curtis Amy's sighing sax, King's steady piano, and voice riding a relaxed groove.
Maybe now it's too late, though we really did try.
It didn't need drama. It needed truth. The single went to #1 in the US and won Record of the Year. But the deeper impact was cultural. A woman speaking with calm authority about leaving and moving on without bitterness. It made quiet sound powerful on AM radio and set the tone for a decade of singer-songwriter honesty.
A melody, you got us feeling alright.
A survival job turned into a world you can see. In 1972, stuck in a bad record deal, Joel took a gig at a Los Angeles piano bar called the Executive Room, performing under the alias Bill Martin. He soaked up the regulars, the bartender, the real estate novelist, the Navy guy, and later cut the song with producer Michael Stewart.
He says, Bill, I believe this is killing.
It isn't flashy. It's a short movie with harmonica and barroom piano. That's why it lasts. Anyone who's worked a late shift or found a second home among strangers can feel themselves in that chorus.
Probably will be for life.
The characters weren't invented. They were people Joel met, which is why the song reads like lived truth instead of a writer's exercise.
And what you love when the rain washes.
While the band was tearing apart and reforming during the Rumor sessions, Stevie Nicks slipped into a small side room at the record plant in Sausalito, sat at a Fender Rhodes, and wrote Dreams in a burst. Lindsey Buckingham shaped its pulse and guitar textures. The group tracked it between Sausalito and Hollywood. It became their only US #1 because it does something rare, turns tension into glide.
I go again, I see crystal vision.
The lyric is frank, the rhythm patient, the melody a calm center in the storm. Decades later, a viral skateboarding clip sent Dreams back onto the charts, proving a great record doesn't age. It waits. The song is a soft, steady heartbeat in a chaotic chapter, and that's why listeners keep returning to it. Pure joy engineered with care. Guitarist Al McKay brought the circular chord pattern. Maurice White and songwriter Allie Willis shaped the top line. When Willis tried to swap out White's placeholder syllables, Badaya, he refused. The lesson became songwriting lore. Never let the lyric get in the way of the groove. The 21st Night of September wasn't some secret code. It simply sang perfectly. Released as a new cut on the Best of Earth, Wind and Fire, Volume 1, it leapt into permanent party duty. Every year, that date turns into a global sing-along online because the track is built like a celebration. A precision rhythm section, the Phoenix horns punching bright figures, and a chorus you don't learn so much as remember. It's an instant lift button, wired directly to joy.
That's the real thing, but I was so blind. Much mistrust.
Blondie's Heart of Glass began as a scrappy idea called Once I Had a Love, a mid-70s sketch Debbie Harry and Chris Stein kept poking at and shelving. When producer Mike Chapman pushed the band to empty their notebooks, they rebuilt it with a sleek, steady pulse and an icy kind of poise.
And it was a gas. Soon turned out, had a heart of glass.
In the studio, they paired a brand new drum machine with live drums and leaned into the cool electronic textures they'd been hearing from European records. The rhythm has a subtle twist that refuses to sit perfectly square, which is part of why the track glides and teases at the same time. Some punk friends cried sellout. Radio worried about a single off-color line. None of it mattered.
Push me aside. We could have made it cruising, yeah.
The song shot to the top of the charts on both sides of the Atlantic. What you hear is a band from downtown New York walking straight into a mirror ball world and making it their own. It didn't kill punk spirit. It proved that the old genre fences were nonsense, and that attitude could ride a disco beat without losing its edge. I Will Survive didn't arrive as a victory lap. It was tucked away as a B-side, the kind of placement that usually means good song, wrong time. Club DJs flipped it over, felt the power in the lyric, and started testing it on packed floors. The reaction was instant. Strings swirl like a storm clearing out. Bass strides forward with its head up, and that voice climbs from hurt to pride in real time. The story is personal, but it turns into something bigger the moment the chorus hits. People going through breakups sang it like a dare. Queer communities made it an anthem for being seen and standing tall. Anyone who needed a rallying cry could find themselves in those lines. When the record won a Grammy, it was less a trophy than a confirmation of what dancers already knew. This wasn't just a hit, it was a lifeline. The miracle of the track is that it lets you dance while you heal. By the last chorus, the I has quietly become a we. I Feel Love tried to do something few pop songs attempt. Sound like tomorrow. In a Munich basement full of wires and temperamental gear, Donna Summer, Giorgio Moroder, and Pete Bellotti replaced lush orchestras with a pulsing synthesizer that had to be wrangled by hand. Parts drifted out of tune, takes were restarted, a hi-hat was sculpted from noise. The human element is almost a ghost, Donna's focused, weightless vocal sailing over a heartbeat that never changes. What could have been cold becomes hypnotic and intimate, like a secret shared in a crowded room. Musicians heard it and felt the ground shift. Here was a blueprint for what would become synth pop, house, and techno. Repetition as elevation, precision as emotion. The thrill isn't just the groove, it's the sense that the song moved the horizon line and invited everyone to step over it. This video is sponsored by the Lore Store on Amazon, your one-stop shop for music lovers across reggae, rock, pop, and hip-hop. We built it for real listeners who don't want to dig through 1,000 listings to find the right gear. Inside the Lore Store, you'll find 5 aisles. VIP, top, battle-tested essentials. Headphones, turntables, speakers, gig-safe earplugs, smart speakers. Reggae vibe, roots and lovers. Rock made easy, automatic decks, warm bookshelf speakers, vinyl care. Rock lore, classic rock must-haves, open back cans, simple amps, living room concert vibes. Pop lore, feel-good everyday setups, clean, clear speakers, easy streaming, nostalgia-friendly picks. Hip-hop must-haves, punchy bass without the muddle, closed-back headphones and living room systems that handle low-end, plus a rotating crate of old album vinyl if you're rebuilding a 60s-90s collection. Every product page tells you who it's for, 3 pros, 1 con, and why we picked it. So you can choose with confidence. Flying soon? Check. VIP for noise canceling that tames plane roar. Mostly listening at home? Try open-back headphones that let live albums breathe. Want instant gratification vinyl? Our fully automatic turntable is 1 button from silence to music, and the record cleaning kit knocks down crackle so the bass tightens up. Headed to shows? Grab high-fidelity earplugs, hands-free at home. Our smart speaker picks let you say, play 70s reggae or classic pop, and you're there. Deal alert! If you use the link in the description, you'll land on our curated picks with current best available Amazon pricing and active discounts where applicable. Prices change, so buy now to lock in today's deal. Tap the link in the description, pick your aisle, grab a favorite, and tell me which category you want me to build next. The Lore Store. Listen better, with gear that gets out of the way and lets the music live. This is the moment a former child star steps into his grown voice and never looks back. Michael wrote it himself and teamed up with Quincy Jones to build a sound that was light on its feet and serious about the groove. The room was full of killers, a bassist whose lines feel like springs, a drummer who seems to breathe with the track, guitar and keys that thread through the spaces without clutter, and a horn section that punctuates like sunlight hitting glass. Michael's falsetto doesn't strain. It glides and sparks. The percussion keeps adding tiny details that lift you higher. By the time the first chorus lands, you realize the song has no dead corners. Every bar gives you something to ride.
It's the first of all that makes it happen. Don't stop till you get enough. Touch me.
It became a #1 for a reason, but the chart position is almost beside the point. What matters is how it feels: effortless, joyful, and precise. This is where the path to the next decade opens, and the solo star arrives fully formed. Superstition begins with a simple idea, a drum beat that makes your head nod before your brain catches up. In the studio, a friend kicks it off. Stevie jumps on a clavinet, and the song builds itself like a house going up in a day. On the record, he sings it, plays that snarling keyboard, drives a Moog bass underneath, and layers a horn line that punches through like a brass warning. The groove is lean and muscular, no wasted notes, no empty space. The lyric is a wise side-eye at the easy explanations people reach for when life gets strange. Don't blame the ladder or the broken mirror. Look at the choices you make. There's a famous bit of music business drama about who should release the song first, but the cut that hit radio is the one we needed. Stevie's version, tight as a wire and warm as a club after midnight.
Do all that you can.
It went to the top because it's built from parts that speak to each other. Drums, keys, horns, voice, until the whole thing feels like a single engine. Decades later, bands still learn it first, DJs still drop it to reset a room, and listeners still feel that riff snap their day into focus. Imagine sounds like a prayer set to piano, but it was built with real-world craft and argument. John wrote it at home in England while reading Yoko Ono's short, radical poems that asked readers to picture impossible things and then act as if they were possible. He tracked the song in his own studio, piano, voice, a simple rhythm section, then carried the tapes to New York, where a small string section was added, and the mix gained that floating glow.
And the world will be one.
Phil Spector co-produced, but the record's power is its plainness. Short lines, simple chords, no ornament you don't need. The song asks you to picture a life without borders, without revenge, without hungry scorekeeping, and it does it in language a child could follow. Some heard it as naive, some heard it as brave. Either way, people kept singing it. It became the tune played when candles are lit in city squares, the melody families reach for after the worst headlines, the song that makes large crowds quiet for 4 minutes. Imagine endures because it doesn't force you to agree on politics. It asks you to agree on the possibility of better. Paul Simon wrote this as a small hymn, and it grew into something with the size of a cathedral. The inspiration reached back to gospel phrases he'd loved, and the recording brought in elite Los Angeles session players, the same crew that powered countless hits, who chose restraint over flash. Larry Knechtel's piano doesn't rush, it breathes and widens with each verse. Art Garfunkel's vocal starts almost conversational, then rises with the arrangement until it feels like it's lifting the listener on its shoulders. Drums and bass arrive like a tide. Strings come last, not to decorate, but to underline the promise. The duo was famously tense at this time, and Simon originally meant to sing it himself, but he gave the lead to Garfunkel because he knew that voice could carry the comfort. That decision, serving the song, not the ego, became part of the record's story. Within a year, gospel greats and soul singers had claimed it as their own, proving that pop can offer sanctuary when it's honest and well-made. The song doesn't fix your problems. It stands next to you while you cross. Staying Alive walks with the rhythm of a city block. Confident, tense, unstoppable. The Bee Gees were writing for a new movie at the time, and the track had to feel like Saturday night under streetlights. When their drummer had to leave a session, the producers built a loop from earlier drum takes and threaded the entire song across that perfect, relentless pulse. Over it, the brothers stacked falsettos like steel beams, weaving harmony and swagger until the groove felt 8 feet tall. The lyric isn't bragging for its own sake, it's survival talk from someone who knows the rent is due and the sidewalks can be cruel. Then came the cultural wave. John Travolta's dance, the film's explosion, the disco backlash, and still the single refused to fade. For years, CPR teachers used its tempo to teach life-saving compressions, an odd but fitting echo of its title. The beat hasn't aged because it never belonged to one style. It was built like a heartbeat. Put it on in any decade, and the room stands a little straighter.
Send shivers down my spine, body's aching all the time.
On paper, it shouldn't work. No chorus, sharp turns between styles, 6 minutes that don't care about radio rules. Freddie Mercury heard it whole and convinced the band to chase the vision, piece by piece. They tracked the song across multiple studios, layering voices until the tape almost couldn't take any more, bouncing ideas between a delicate piano ballad, a burst of mock opera, and a rock section that hits like a finale and somehow isn't the end. The label worried it was too long. A London DJ loved it, played an advanced copy on air until people demanded a single, and the public made up its mind. The band also filmed a striking, quickly made promo clip with mirrored faces and stark lighting that helped the song take over television in a way few rock records had before.
Years later, it found another life in a comedy film and another life again on streaming, because real oddities don't age. They just keep finding new ears. What holds the wild form together is craft. Every melody is strong on its own. Every transition lands, and the sincerity never winks. It's a dare that became a standard.
Hey, Pop Lore family. Did you know only 1% of viewers are subscribed? If you love deep dives into pop legends, forgotten gems, and the stories behind the songs that shaped generations, hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to turn on LL notifications so you'll be the first to know when we premiere our next video. It's free, it helps Pop Lore grow, and it makes sure you never miss a single countdown or music story. Let's build this community together.
Dancing Queen began with a working title, Boogaloo, and a simple goal: make something joyful enough to light up a dance floor but rich enough to live in your head for decades. The writers shaped the track with a bright piano pattern and a bass line that moves like a smile you can't hide. The singers, two voices blending so closely they sound like one, carry a melody that rises without strain, like a glass lift in a sunlit hotel.
Friday night and the lights are low.
Strings shimmer, drums stay elegant, and small touches of choir make the chorus feel like a room full of friends. The band performed it in Sweden the week of a royal wedding, which was fitting. The song has ceremony baked into its happiness. It became a global #1, ABBA's sole US chart topper, and the shining centerpiece of a catalog that mixes glitter with quiet sadness.
And when you get the chance.
That's the secret in the euphoria. A hint of longing under the celebration that makes ordinary happiness feel earned. Decades later, it anchors musicals, films, and a million parties because it captures a universal moment. The minute you stop worrying about how you look and just move. Dancing Queen is pop's gold standard for lift, the feeling of weight leaving your shoulders in time with the snare. The journey doesn't end here, pop lovers. Watch this next. You can hum these choruses, but ask who sang them, and the room goes quiet. That's the magic and curse of the one-hit wonder. Tonight we're counting 15 pop lightning strikes from the 1970s, songs that hit once and echoed forever. From disco floors to soft rock sunsets, we'll break down why each track exploded and why the follow-up didn't. Quick rules. US Billboard Hot 100 only. One top 40 hit per artist. No repeats. Turn it up, drop your own pick in the comments, and see if your memory matches the list. Let's start the countdown. Number 15. US Number 15. A City at Night. Yellow lines racing past the windshield. That's the feeling Driver's Seat puts in your chest from the first drum hit. The groove is tight and unhurried, almost like a steady heartbeat, and the guitars paint in thin neon lines around it. Paul Roberts sings like a man trying to stay cool while the world is changing in the rearview mirror. Half romantic, half detached. The chorus isn't a shout, it's a shrug that somehow sticks. What made it cut through in 1979 is the blend, a new wave polish on a classic pop engine. You can hear the band's discipline. Every part earns its space. From the clipped rhythm guitar to the gliding synth hooks, it sounded modern without scaring radio. They didn't turn that moment into a long run because timing and identity worked against them. The group had lineup shifts right as the single was breaking, and the follow-ups didn't land a bigger, clearer story for US radio. Still, the song refused to die. It kept popping up in films and commercials, getting rediscovered by new ears who didn't even know the band's name. That's the quiet power of a one-hit wonder. The track becomes the face. If you've ever driven after midnight with this on, you know why it endures. Cool on the surface, restless underneath.
Hey, Pop Lore family. Did you know only 1% of viewers are subscribed? If you love deep dives into pop legends, forgotten gems, and the stories behind the songs that shaped generations, hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to turn on LL notifications so you'll be the first to know when we premiere our next video. It's free, it helps Pop Lore grow, and it makes sure you never miss a single countdown or music story. Let's build this community together.
US number 1. This isn't bubblegum. It's a sleek late 70s pop record with a hard streetlight glare. Gilder came out of glam rock, and you can hear that DNA. Tight riffs, a high, almost brittle vocal, everything built for sharp impact. The story he's telling is darker than the title suggests. The city as a hunting ground, the fast life with a cost. That tension, shiny on top, uneasy underneath, made it impossible to ignore.
Young boys.
It also helped that the record is immaculately crafted. A lean verse that sprints to a chorus you can sing once and never forget. Yet Gilder couldn't follow it with another US smash under his own name. Part of that is the curse of a song that big. When radio, audiences, and labels want that again, anything different sounds wrong, and anything the same sounds smaller. Ironically, Gilder proved he wasn't a fluke by writing hits for others later. He had the pen, but the market had already filed him as the guy from that song. Listen back now, and you hear the bridge between glam's glitter and new wave steel. Tight, bright, and walking a dark street. US Norton 5. This is disco as invitation, not lecture. Bridges opens the door, the lights come up, and the bass line starts smiling. The verses ride a soulful pocket, and then the chorus floats up like a mirror ball, catching every color in the room. Her voice is warm and assured, with just enough grit to keep it from sugar. The record hits because it's about the feeling of being seen and alive in a crowd. Music not just as sound, but as a place you can go. A twist most people miss. Bridges wasn't a one-note disco diva. She wrote the song, had rock and soul roots, and never wanted to live only in one lane. After 1978, the disco wave crashed in America, and many artists who rode that crest got dragged out with it, no matter how good they were. But the song refused to age.
All over town, you can love them all, and when you're through
resurfaced again and again in film and TV because its charm is simple and universal. You've had a long week, you put on something you love, and the night starts to glow. Few records bottle that feeling so cleanly. When the chorus hits, you remember why dance floors matter. They give ordinary people an extraordinary moment. US number 3. Bluesman writes a ballad, hands the mic to a young tenor, and lightning strikes. Elvin Bishop was a respected guitarist long before this single, but it's Mickey Thomas's soaring vocal that turns the song into a soft rock standard. Listen to how the arrangement breathes. Patient drums, an easy bass walk, and then those guitar lines that answer the vocal without crowding it. The lyric is classic pop storytelling. Player catches real feelings and admits it with a grin he can't hide.
I get out my book and write down a name.
Why only one big US hit? Because Bishop's home base was the blues root circuit, not pop radio. This track crossed over so strongly, it almost disguised who he was the rest of the time. You can spend a career being excellent at one thing and still be remembered by the one time you stepped outside it.
Since I met you, baby, I'm around.
That's not a knock. It's proof of how perfectly this record hit its target. Decades on, it keeps returning in new contexts, from wedding playlists to blockbuster soundtracks, because it's built on an honest confession and a melody that feels like a warm evening breeze. When the last chorus lifts, you don't think about categories. You think about the first time you got blindsided by love.
Yes, I did.
US number 1. Few songs carry their own origin myth in the hook. The band was grinding it out live when someone in the crowd threw a line at them about playing funky music. Rob Parisi flipped that into a chant and a groove that sounded like sweat on a packed dance floor. The guitar is clipped and rubbery, the bass locks in a pocket you could live in, and the chant is basically an instruction manual for having a good time. It's funk filtered through rock, delivered with a wink, and it hit the center of American radio like a bullseye. The follow-ups couldn't repeat the trick, because you can't bottle a moment twice. The magic here is lightning in a bar band, a real-life phrase, a band with the chops to build a track around it, and a country suddenly ready to dance. Over time, the song became bigger than the group, sampled, quoted, shouted at parties by people who weren't born when it topped the charts. That's the hallmark of a true one-hit wonder. The track turns into a cultural reflex. You don't decide to sing it, it just jumps out of you when the DJ leans on the beat. US number 1. 4 voices, 1 wink, and a sky full of sunshine. Afternoon Delight is soft rock at its most feather-light. Tight harmonies, finger-picked guitar, and a melody that floats like a kite on a warm day. The group came out of Washington, D.C.'s folk scene. Bill Danoff and Taffy Nivert had written with John Denver, and you can hear that craft in the way the parts lock together. Nothing is left to chance. Verses step up neatly to a chorus that sounds simple, but is stacked with careful vocal arranging. It's pure ear candy, and radio in 1976 couldn't resist it. Part of the secret is tone. The lyrics carry a cheeky double meaning, but the performance stays smiling and light, never heavy or crude. That let the record live in 2 places at once, safe for daytime radio, sly enough for adults in on the joke. The singles smash brought them a huge spotlight, and even a major award, but the very perfection of this sound made it hard to repeat. How do you follow a song that everyone already thinks they understand in a single word? The band tried TV, more records, and touring, but nothing matched the charm of that first glide. Today, it plays like a postcard from a softer pop era, polished, sunny, and impossible not to hum. US to 5. Ho, 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 it's magic, is the kind of hook that sounds like it's always existed. Pilot, a tight Scottish pop group, built the song on bright acoustic strums, glassy keys, and a rhythm section that never hurries. Producer sock engineer Alan Parsons keeps the edges clean. You can hear the space around every instrument. David Payton's vocal skims over the top with a grin that feels effortless. This is soft rock built like a pop watch. Every gear turning smoothly, no friction, no waste. The follow-up, January, exploded in the UK but didn't crack the US top 40. And that split tells you a lot about the mid-70s. America's radio lanes were crowded. Country rock here, disco there, singer-songwriters everywhere, and some brilliant records simply didn't find the right slot. Members of Pilot would go on to long studio careers, but for US listeners, the group lives forever inside this 3-minute lift. Put it on in a car, windows down, late afternoon, and the chorus does what it promises. The ordinary day turns a little unreal, like sunlight bending in your favor. US Nero 1. No one planned for this to take over the world. The story goes that kung fu fighting came together at the end of a studio session. Fast, cheap, and fun. Then the label flipped it to the A-side, and the timing could not have been better. America was in love with martial arts films. The song grabbed that energy and turned it into a dance floor chant. The hi-hat stutters like quick punches. The strings swoop cartoon heroic, and Douglas hits every ha with a grin. It's tempting to see it as a novelty, but listen to the groove. The bass is warm and rolling, the percussion crisp, the call and response built to move crowds. The follow-up single didn't make the US top 40, and that makes sense. Crazes burn hot and fast.
Sudden motion made me skip. Now we're into a brand new trip. Everybody was cold.
Still, this record endures because it captures more than a fad. It bottles a specific kind of joy, the feeling of trying on a new hero in the mirror, the rush of being part of a room yelling the same line at the same time. Put it on and the floor fills. That's not novelty, that's pop power. This video is sponsored by the Lore Store on Amazon, your one-stop shop for music lovers across reggae, rock, pop, and hip-hop. We built it for real listeners who don't want to dig through 1,000 listings to find the right gear. Inside the Lore Store, you'll find 5 aisles. VIP, top, battle-tested essentials. Headphones, turntables, speakers, gig-safe earplugs, smart speakers. Reggae vibe, roots and lovers. Rock made easy, automatic decks, warm bookshelf speakers, vinyl care. Rock lore, classic rock must-haves, open back cans, simple amps, living room concert vibes. Pop lore, feel-good everyday setups, clean, clear speakers, easy streaming, nostalgia-friendly picks. Hip-hop must-haves, punchy bass without the muddle, closed-back headphones and living room systems that handle low-end, plus a rotating crate of old album vinyl if you're rebuilding a 60s-90s collection. Every product page tells you who it's for, 3 pros, 1 con, and why we picked it. So you can choose with confidence. Flying soon? Check. VIP for noise canceling that tames plane roar. Mostly listening at home? Try open-back headphones that let live albums breathe. Want instant gratification vinyl? Our fully automatic turntable is 1 button from silence to music, and the record cleaning kit knocks down crackle so the bass tightens up. Headed to shows? Grab high-fidelity earplugs. Hands-free at home? Our smart speaker picks let you say, play 70s reggae or classic pop, and you're there. Deal alert. If you use the link in the description, you'll land on our curated picks with current best available Amazon pricing and active discounts where applicable. Prices change, so buy now to lock in today's deal. Tap the link in the description, pick your aisle, grab a favorite, and tell me which category you want me to build next. The Lore Store. Listen better, with gear that gets out of the way and lets the music live.
Named Al Capone, try to make that town his own, and he called his gang to war.
US number 1. A British band writes a movie in 3 minutes. Sirens, gangsters, a cop's family waiting by the radio. The storytelling is bold and a little exaggerated, like a comic book set to drums. And that's exactly why it worked. The chorus is massive. The snare snaps like a news bulletin, and the whole track gallops forward as if it can't wait to reach the happy ending.
Yes, indeed. And the sound of the battle rang.
American listeners didn't mind the geography quirks. They heard a hook and a cliffhanger and said, "Play it again." In the UK, Paper Lace were big with a different song. In America, this was their moment.
Had surrendered up or died. They were shouting and
After it hit number 1, the band struggled to find another story this sticky for US ears. Radio likes clear lanes, and Paper Lace fell between them. Part pop, part show tune, part TV theme that never had a show. What lasts is the rush. You can picture the kitchen table, the mother praying, the door finally opening. It's pure melodrama delivered with conviction, and by the last chorus you're shouting along whether you believe the details or not.
Think of me and I'll be there. We had joy, we had
US number 1, a goodbye song that sounds like a breeze. Terry Jacks took the bones of a French chanson about a dying man and smoothed it into a gentle pop farewell. The arrangement is spare: acoustic guitar, soft percussion, a few bright keyboard touches, and Jack sings as if he's speaking directly to someone across the table. The words are simple, almost childlike, which is exactly why they sting. We had joy, we had fun. Lands because most people can fill in the memories that line hides.
give me love and help me find the sun. And every time that
Critics sometimes call it too sweet, but that misses the point. In 1974, pop radio made room for feelings said plainly. Millions connected with the honesty, and the single became a world-scale event. Jax didn't follow it with another big US hit, which fits the pattern of songs that become larger than the artist's plan.
I wish that we could both be there. We had joy, we had fun.
Some careers are about catalogs. Some are about one song that finds the exact center of what people need to hear at a moment in time. This one did. Decades later, it still appears in films and family reels because it helps people say what is hard to say. Thank you, I remember. Goodbye.
bad, it was good. Louis had the bad.
US number 1, a love song that walks straight into trouble. Brother Louie tells the story of an interracial couple pushed apart by family pressure, and it does it with zero sugarcoating. The record opens with a cool, stalking groove, drums planted, bass circling, and those stabbing strings that feel like sirens. Ian Lloyd sings the verses almost like a reporter, then leans hard into the chorus where the hook becomes a chant.
Louis, you're gonna cry.
There's drama in the arrangement too. Stop and go breaks, call and response backing parts, even a spoken word moment that sounds like a kitchen table confrontation. In 1973, pop radio was full of story songs, but few took on race this directly and still landed at number 1. The band never matched it because the moment was unique, musically and culturally. Brother Louie had a built-in headline, a chorus you couldn't shake, and production that made every detail feel cinematic. The follow-ups didn't have that same lightning bottle mix, so the single became the identity. Listen now and you hear why it lasts. The groove is tight enough for clubs, the hook works in any decade, and the story still hits nerves. It's one of those records where pop music and real life crash into each other and sparks fly. US, Veteran 13. Warm keys, easy swing, and a chorus that makes strangers smile at each other. That's the whole design. The star of the track is the electric piano, chiming like streetlights coming on at dusk. The rhythm section never rushes. It just lets the singer glide into that promise. Everybody's dancing in the moonlight. The lyric isn't complicated, but it's crafty. About a town where the night belongs to everyone. No fights, no fear, just a shared groove. The band itself was a loose international story. American players who'd spent time in Europe, drifting back into the US with a song that felt like summer air. They didn't become hit machines, but this one record put their name on an emotion most people know. That perfect night when the music is low, the conversation is easy, and the world feels lighter. It's why the song keeps coming back in films, commercials, and cover versions. It doesn't shout, it invites. By the last chorus, you're not just remembering the tune, you're remembering a night.
Going on to the spirit in the sky. That's where I'm gonna go.
US number 3. A Jewish folk rocker writes a gospel rock anthem in a fuzzstorm. That contradiction is the magic. The guitar tone is a wall of velvet grit. The hand claps crack like a revival tent, and the backing singers lift every line like a choir. Greenbaum's vocal is plain spoken, which lets the sound around him do the preaching. The riff is caveman simple and absolutely perfect. You hear one bar, and the song is already in your head. Spirit in the Sky refuses to age because it blends opposites, sacred language and bar band swagger, heavy fuzz and sunny melody. It's also built like steel. Verse, break, chorus. No wasted motion, no weak link. Cover versions have topped charts in other eras, but the original keeps winning because it sounds both homemade and monumental, like a garage band trying to reach heaven and almost getting there. Put it on good speakers and the room becomes a little church with a dance floor.
If a daddy's rich, take her out for a meal. If a daddy's poor, just do what you feel.
US Burr 3. Skiffle heartbeat, jug band grin, and a chorus that smells like cut grass. Ray Dorset wrote the ultimate warm weather daydream and delivered it with nothing fancy. Acoustic strum, upright feeling bass, rattling percussion, a wheezy little lead line that might as well be a kazoo.
We're always happy, last for living, yeah, that's our philosophy.
The vocal is loose and smiling, the rhythm bounces, and the song invites you to step out of your own life for 3 minutes and just enjoy the sun on your face. It's easy to underestimate because it feels so casual. But that looseness is the craft. The track moves like a busker who happens to be a genius at getting a crowd to sing.
Yeah, we go driving or maybe we'll settle down.
It hit #1 almost everywhere else and became one of those pop standards that reappears every June whether you ask for it or not. The band never topped it in the US, and that's fine. Not every artist needs a long ladder of hits. Sometimes one perfect mood is enough, and this one defines a season.
Hey, Pop Lore family. Did you know only 1% of viewers are subscribed? If you love deep dives into pop legends, forgotten gems, and the stories behind the songs that shaped generations, hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to turn on LL notifications so you'll be the first to know when we premiere our next video. It's free, it helps Pop Lore grow, and it makes sure you never miss a single countdown or music story. Let's build this community together.
US #1. A Dutch psych pop band writes a hymn to a goddess and turns it into a global floor filler. The opening guitar riff is a flare in the night sky. Sharp, confident, unforgettable. Then Mariska Veris enters with a voice that slices and soars at the same time, cool as glass and strong as steel.
Yeah, baby, she's got it.
The lyric is pure myth, Aphrodite as a woman you'd follow anywhere. But the production is pop science. Tight drums, chiming rhythm guitar, a bass line that keeps the track locked and urgent. Venus was one of the first big reminders that world-class pop could come from anywhere.
I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, your desire.
It didn't matter that Shocking Blue wasn't British or American. The song was undeniable. Decades later, a new generation pushed it back up the charts with a cover, and the original still sounded fresh beside it. That's the mark of a classic hook. Time can repaint everything around it, but the core stays bulletproof. When Venus hits the chorus, the room lifts. It did in 1970, and it does now. The journey doesn't end here, pop lovers. Watch this next. Pop history keeps replaying the same anthems, but under the hits there's a secret canon. Perfect songs that never got their parade. Tonight we unearth 15 pop gems you've probably missed. From Blue Nile's Midnight Skyline to Prefab Sprout's Silk Glide Longing. From Italian drama with Mina to City Pop Sunshine with Taiko Onuki. All the way to the Dream Academy's Bossa-tinted Daydream. If your playlist stops at the usual suspects, you're missing melodies built like architecture. hooks that should have ruled radio and instead became cult passwords. Expect widescreen sophisti-pop, indie heartache, city pop shimmer, and art pop sleek. Each track why it mattered and what to listen for. This is Pop Lore. Subscribe, hit the bell, and drop your one sleeper pop classic plus why. Best picks get pinned and might shape part 2. Let's drop the needle. Few bands understood negative space like the Blue Nile. Tinseltown in the Rain, from their debut A Walk Across the Rooftops, is a masterclass in arranged absence. Parts chosen not to fill the spectrum, but to make room for longing. The drum program is spare and deliberate. Kick and snare act as punctuation, not propulsion, while the hi-hat's soft tick sets a walking pace you lean into. The bass sits low and patient, often anchoring long tones that behave less like riffs and more like a floor the harmony can breathe upon. Keyboards do the narrative work. Those gleaming, glassy chords voice high extensions, add nines, sus colors, that give City at Night lift without resorting to bombast. Short synth counter melodies glint and vanish like headlights in rain. Paul Buchanan's vocal rides the front edge of the beat, close-mic'd, intimate, so when the chorus opens, "Do I love you? Yes, I love you," it feels earned, not staged. Lyrically, it's less story than place. The production mirrors that by turning the mix into a room. Reverbs are dark-tuned and short, space that whispers instead of shouting, keeping the emotion present even at big system volume. You don't simply hear a song about a city, you're standing in it. Paddy McAloon writes melodies like a watchmaker, intricate, elegant, inevitable. And Appetite is a tiny cathedral of moving parts. Thomas Dolby's production frames the song as sleek warmth. Drum machine tight enough for radio, bass rounded but articulate, guitars chiming in upper registers to leave the vocal a clean mid-range lane. What separates this from 1,000 immaculate 80s singles is harmonic motion. Verses pivot through passing chords that tug the ear forward. A pre-chorus leans into unexpected changes without ever sounding clever for its own sake. The chorus resolves with the relief of a theorem proven. Arrangement is restraint. The hook isn't inflated by extra layers. It's clarified by subtraction. Small mutes before downbeats. Backing vocals arriving on the second half of a line so the payoff feels like recognition rather than announcement.
Two small problems are the best part of the blame.
McAloon's lyric is both precise and generous. Appetite as desire and as existential condition, phrased in lines that scan like conversation until you try to write one half as clean. The lesson for pop craftsmen is timeless. Let harmony create motion. Let the singer write air. Let production make clarity a feeling. Before Tracy Ullman took it into the top 10, They Don't Know was already a jewel. Written and first recorded by Kirsty MacColl on Stiff Records. Her version carries the buoyancy of classic brill-building craft filtered through late 70s UK indie sensibility. Jangling guitars, hand-clap-adjacent percussion taps, and a bass line that moves with songwriter's logic. Support, then lift, then step aside.
Don't understand when I look at you and you hold my hand.
MacColl's vocal is the masterstroke. Conversational until the line needs altitude. Then that famous sky-high baby, delivered not as diva punctuation but as character revelation. Structurally, the song is economy with purpose. A brief middle eight tilts the harmony just enough to re-sweeten the final chorus. Backing vocals tuck in tight thirds that never crowd the lead. The mix uses plate reverb sparingly, so the performance feels in the room rather than lacquered. Lyrically, it's a manifesto for those whose love story doesn't meet public consensus, and that defiant tenderness reads in every arrangement choice. Pop often confuses spectacle with proof. McColl proves feeling with craft and leaves a blueprint many later covers follow without quite matching the original's lightness of touch.
Filled with love till dawn. It's warm.
There's a reason this debut single long outlived its chart run. It captures early summer eternity without a single lazy move. The rhythm section holds a gentle stride, kick soft rounded, and the snare more brush than crack, so the groove glides instead of drives. Guitars chime in bright triads, upper neck voicings that keep the mid-range uncluttered, while a synth pads the edges with soft bloom rather than glossy wash. The lead melody plays a modest range but writes arcs. Each phrase seems to rise a fraction more than the last, cashing out in a chorus that opens like windows. Lyrically, it's diaristic. First love rendered in film still flashes. The key is placement. The title phrase lands squarely on a harmonic lift, so the words feel taller before you've parsed them. Backing vocals are used sparingly and precisely, unisons that widen to thirds right at the bar lean, giving the sensation of air entering the room. Production avoids the era's brittle brightness. Instead, the track breathes with soft room and tasteful plate, preserving the performance's fragility. It's a postcard you can step into, and a reminder that light songs can be engineered with the same rigor as epics. Produced by Walter Becker, Black Man Ray is quiet-voiced art-pop confidence, proof that understatement can be the strongest color on the palette. The beat is metronomic yet human, a tight, dry snare, kick-feathered rather than thumped, syncopated hi-hat that keeps the groove breathing. Synths are textural more than declarative, stacked in carefully EQ'd layers, so each occupies a specific slice of the spectrum. The bass carries melody as much as foundation. Stepwise motion and small anticipations give the chorus an effortless rise without anyone touching the faders. The vocal sits close and calm, which makes the lyrics' oblique imagery feel like a whispered riddle. Becker's influence shows up in arrangement, grammar, elegant chordal extensions, guitar figures that act like punctuation marks, a refusal to over-arrange the hook. The chorus achieves altitude by lengthening note values and widening the harmony, not by adding volume. It's pop as architecture, balance first, then beauty. The result is a song that wins by poise, and a reminder that in the mid-'80s, you could still craft radio music that rewarded deep listening without sacrificing immediacy. A dusty-era soul loop, a hip-hop-bred sense of repetition, and Sarah Cracknell's light-as-air vocal. This is pop archaeology turned into present tense. The rhythmic bed is classic early 90s indie dance, drum programming that leans back a touch, shaker and hat patterns that breathe rather than nag. The loop does the heavy harmonic lifting, bright horn stabs and chordal color that carry the song's optimism without requiring big dynamic swings. Production understands register discipline. Bass is warm but not woolly. Mid-range stays uncluttered so the vocal can float. High-end glints rather than glares. The trick is how the chorus arrives, not by adding weight, but by lengthening values and widening background intervals. So lift feels like sunlight through a larger window. Lyrically and sonically, it's a manifesto for crate digging as pop futurism, heritage repurposed with a DJ's sense of economy and a songwriter's sense of release.
Like hooks, you get hurt if you play with crooks.
Elegance as emotional truth. Everything here is calibrated for ache. Lightly chiming guitars arranged in upper neck voicings so they shimmer without crowding the vocal. Bass lines that choose counter melody over root thumping. Drums that push with brushes and soft sticks, leaving room for breath. The verses move in small, carefully chosen chord pivots, just enough harmonic motion to keep the ear leaning forward, before a chorus that opens without resorting to bombast. Backing vocals arrive late in the line, a go-between's hallmark that makes the hook feel earned rather than announced. The lyric reads like a letter you probably shouldn't have mailed, plain-spoken, self-questioning, unguarded, and the arrangement matches it with restraint that registers as courage. It's a masterclass in how not to oversell a feeling. The band lengthens notes, opens the hi-hat a hair, lets a sustained guitar line hang, and suddenly the room grows larger around the singer. Tenderness with a spine. Built on a drum machine tick and a two-guitar weave, one glassy and high, one slightly overdriven. Sensitive turns Sarah Records' DIY ethos into architectural clarity. The verse melody stays within a modest range, which is why every small lift reads like revelation. The chorus blooms not because it gets louder, but because harmony widens and the rhythm guitar starts strumming through the bar rather than at it. Lyrically, it's a quiet rebellion against macho codes. Sensitive, reclaimed as strength, and the arrangement literalizes that thesis. A fuzz-edge guitar enters only where the words need a shield. Otherwise, negative space does the persuading. Production keeps plate reverb dark and short so intimacy survives even when you turn it up. The coda's dynamic tick-up feels like resolve, not swagger, proof that a song can be soft without being small. This video is sponsored by the Lore Store on Amazon, your one-stop shop for music lovers across reggae, rock, pop, and hip-hop. We built it for real listeners who don't want to dig through 1,000 listings to find the right gear. Inside the Lore Store, you'll find 5 aisles. VIP, top, battle-tested essentials. Headphones, turntables, speakers, gig-safe earplugs, smart speakers. Reggae vibe, roots and lovers. Rock made easy, automatic decks, warm bookshelf speakers, vinyl care. Rock lore, classic rock must-haves, open back cans, simple amps, living room concert vibes. Pop lore, feel-good everyday setups, clean, clear speakers, easy streaming, nostalgia-friendly picks. Hip-hop must-haves, punchy bass without the muddle, closed-back headphones and living room systems that handle low-end, plus a rotating crate of old album vinyl if you're rebuilding a 60s-90s collection. Every product page tells you who it's for, 3 pros, 1 con, and why we picked it. So you can choose with confidence. Flying soon? Check. VIP for noise canceling that tames plane roar. Mostly listening at home? Try open-back headphones that let live albums breathe. Want instant gratification vinyl? Our fully automatic turntable is 1 button from silence to music, and the record cleaning kit knocks down crackle so the bass tightens up. Headed to shows? Grab high-fidelity earplugs. Hands-free at home? Our smart speaker picks let you say, play 70s reggae or classic pop, and you're there. Deal alert. If you use the link in the description, you'll land on our curated picks with current best available Amazon pricing and active discounts where applicable. Prices change, so buy now to lock in today's deal. Tap the link in the description, pick your aisle, grab a favorite, and tell me which category you want me to build next. The Lore Store. Listen better, with gear that gets out of the way and lets the music live. A slow-motion rush. Bomp-bomp kick pattern. Heartbeat-coded bass pulses, synths that rise in overlapping arpeggios until the whole track is suspended. Scandinavian pop's secret is placement. Fewer parts, each chosen for function, not decoration, and heartbeat is the exhibit. Verse phrasing is talk, sung confession. Pre-chorus lengthens vowels and loosens consonants so tension accumulates. The chorus releases by widening the harmony and letting a high synth ribbon paint the ceiling. The drum programming is restrained on purpose. No crash cymbal fireworks, so the emotional fireworks come from harmonic bloom and melodic contour. Lyrically, it's club floor cinema. The moment time dilates and the room becomes two people. The mix engineers that dilation through micro-automation, pads creeping up a half dB into the hook, delay tails tucked into the pocket, a bass note sustained a breath longer than the bar. It's euphoria as design.
I saw you trying. I saw you trying.
Minimalism that aches, a rubbery chorus-kissed bass, and a dry, almost demo intimate snare form the chassis. Keys and pads occupy narrow bands, so the mid-range, Sky's voice, can carry the drama without competition. The song's power is phrasing intelligence. Lines run past bar lines, then snap back to the one. Choruses lift not by bigger drums, but subtly by altered chord color and longer note values. The lyric is late-night post-mortem, cool voice, mess underneath, and the production matches it. Reverb is restrained to preserve proximity. Delay is used like punctuation at the ends of phrases, so the last word keeps thinking after the singer stops. Each section swaps one element, a newly muted kick, a fresh upper octave synth shadow, rather than piling layers, which is why the final chorus feels vast without ever getting crowded. It's a blueprint for 2010's pop melancholy. Space as emotion, imperfection as proof. Summer Connection from Sunshower is the cool front that city pop rode in on. Jazz chords, featherlight grooves, and a studio band whose touch is so exact you almost don't notice the engineering bravado behind the ease. The harmony wears its complexity like linen. Add nines and major sevenths glide by without announcing themselves, and the melody traces long conversational arcs that land on color notes rather than roots. Drums sit behind the beat with brushed cymbals and a dry, precise snare. Bass favors stepwise motion over root thumps, so the verse feels like it's walking you somewhere rather than pushing you. Arrangement is the secret. Rhythm guitar stays up in the neck so it doesn't mask the vocal. Piano comps sparsely, leaving air for the strings to bloom in measured phrases. Horns appear as brushstrokes, never as blocks of sound. The mix leans on dark-tuned plate and chamber reverbs, suggesting room, not spectacle, so intimacy survives even at volume. Lyrically and musically, it's an economy lesson. Fewer parts, each with a job. No one fights the mid-range. The result is that rare summer song that cools you down. Gloss without glare, sophistication that breathes. Before Plastic Love found a second life online, September established Maria Takeuchi's gift for putting melancholy on a disco floor. The groove splits the difference between late 70s AOR and Shibuya-bound sophisti-pop. Clean rhythm guitar on 16ths, bright strings that phrase with the vocal rather than over it, and a bass line that walks in smiling curves, anchoring harmony while constantly hinting at motion. The chorus doesn't get bigger by getting louder. It widens, longer note values, backing vocals that move from unison to tight thirds, string lines that climb by small intervals, so the lift feels like air pressure, not fireworks. The writing is a masterclass in calendar song nostalgia that never turns syrupy. Verses sketch recollection in specifics. The pre-chorus nudges harmony earlier than your ear expects, creating the sensation of time tilting. The chorus resolves on a chord that feels inevitable rather than flashy. Production follows suit. Percussion is crisp, but never splashy. Keys are voiced to leave space around the vocal. Reverb tails are short enough that you can hear breath. September proves how precision, not size, makes a pop record glow. Mina's performance is a lesson in controlled astonishment. Musically, Ennio Morricone wires the song around a repeating, ascending harmonic figure, each section pivoting upward so your ear is always leaning, and then keeps changing the floor under the singer with carefully staged modulations. The arrangement is all tension and velvet, timpani murmurs, brushed snares, vibraphone flickers, and a brass choir that enters like a verdict, only to recede before it becomes melodrama. Over it, Mina shapes phrases with unshowy virtuosity, sitting right on the front edge of the beat, so every modulation lands as emotion, not trick. What makes the record immortal is how form and feeling mirror each other. The lyric's conditional promise, "if you phoned," is built into the harmony's constant reaching. The orchestration never lingers long enough to let certainty congeal. Studio choices are surgical. The voice is present and largely dry compared to the orchestra, a mixed decision that turns Mina into the song's narrator in real time while the arrangement carries the weather around her. It's grand without bluster, theatrical without excess, and a reminder that pop can be architected like a novella. By 1985, Scritti Politti had reinvented themselves from post-punk theorists into art-pop alchemists, and The Word Girl is their most elegant thesis. Language, desire, and image turned into a reggae-tinged pop confection. The rhythm section borrows lovers' rock posture, loped kick, side stick snare, bass lines that sing, but everything is rendered in high-gloss, digital age clarity. David Gamson's keyboard palette is knife-sharp and economical, glassy stabs for harmony, a few carefully automated pads to widen the chorus, and micro-hooks that dodge the vocal rather than crowd it. Greengartside's vocal is close and coy, a soft croon that carries an argument about words as both touch and trap. The hook lands because of placement, not scale. Backing vocals enter on the back half of lines. Chord color changes at the exact moment a lyric pivots from observation to confession. The bass anticipates the downbeat by a breath, so the chorus seems to arrive early. A dub-wise sensibility runs through the mix. Short delay throws on phrase ends, rhythmic mutes that open windows in the groove, turning space into meaning. It's pop about pop, and it still floats. Overshadowed by life in a northern town, The Love Parade is the one that reveals the band's whole blueprint. Bossa-tinged pulse, pastel synths, and melodies that feel like they've been waiting for you. The rhythm section is deceptively simple. Kick on a gentle two-feel, snare soft and dry, percussion whispering sixteenths, so the entire song seems to sway rather than march. Bass walks in long legato arcs that outline the chord changes while pulling your ear through them. Guitars and keys trade filigree in the high mids, careful never to mask the vocal. The writing treats the chorus as a change in oxygen rather than volume. Verses keep the melody in conversational range, with lines that bleed over bar lines. The pre-chorus lengthens vowels and leans into suspended chords. The chorus resolves with grace, landing on a melody note that reads as both arrival and invitation. Production walks the same line. Reverb is coastal, not cavernous. Background parts are panned for width, but EQ'd narrow so the center, voice plus bass, stays crystalline. It's pop as travel. 3 minutes in a place you'd like to live. The journey doesn't end here, pop lovers. Watch this next.